Right, we are live, I believe. I believe we're on. Okay, here's the stream. Let's see what feedback we get from people. Let's just see. Place your questions. I'm waiting. Oh, shit. Okay, can the Winnipeg Jets win the Stanley Cup? I believe we have a good chance. I am a fan, and I may be over here in the UK and not able to go to see them play, which is frustrating. But well, this is fun. Just waiting. Brilliant. It's the waiting that's going to kill me. Let's just see if anyone else wants to come on live. Wow, we're a minute 44 in. No questions yet. Interesting. Very interesting. Look. Just me. That's great. It's the waiting that kills. It's the waiting that kills. Let's put some Curtis Mayfield on one away. That'd be interesting. No, stupid thing. Right, let's get some Curtis Mayfield push man on. Bold. Ask some questions, people. Let's see what else is happening in the tube of you. There we go. So the big stream status. Let's go. Let's see what's going on. On history. Okay. Right, who's in the stream then? Ask away, ask your questions. Yeah, feel free to ask your questions at any point. Yeah, feel free to ask your questions at any point. Feel free to ask your questions at any point. Yeah, any questions, ask away. Yeah, ask questions away. Place your questions in the question box. I will try my best to answer them, and we'll see what happens. We've been going for 5 minutes. Oh, here we go. When did I start becoming a fan of the Winnipeg Jets? I originally liked the original Jets in the early 90s when I was a kid. My dad was a soldier, went out to Canada from the UK on NATO training exercises. He would obviously go see the um, Calgary Flames and Edmonton Oilers, and he would come back and we would watch on the cable TV we had in the UK. We would watch sport, not just ice hockey, but um, I follow the Coyotes as well. I have a cheeky little one of them. So I've been following ice hockey since 1992, and I picked up ice hockey watching the original Jets, the Coyotes, and the new Jets. So I've been following them for that long. Yeah. Any other questions? Questions are good. By the way, you're the only one watching, so the more questions you have, the better, because this will make this live stream go a bit better. Yeah. Good question though. The current Jets. I wasn't a fan of the Thrashers. Um, I never really hit it off with them. But when the NHL announced that they were going back to Winnipeg, I was very happy because my formative years as a kid watching um, the original Jets play was good. Yeah, right, let's see. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But no, in response to that question, I've been following the NHL. Yeah, many. It's a very good question, coming on. I appreciate the question you had there. I've been following ice hockey for a very long time. I have a jersey collection which is in my cupboard, which I might get out. But ask another question, please. Um, I mean, at the moment with uh, the form they're in, they can do quite well this year as well. This team hopefully um, be good this season in the playoffs. Uh, in the Elite Ice Hockey League, well, that's a difficult one. I live near Guildford. I live in Bracknell, and Guildford were rivals of us. Um, oh, hello, everyone. The favourite team in the Elite Ice Hockey League. I don't really have one. My team Bracknell had a rivalry with Guildford Flames going back 20 years. They've gone up. We've had to go into the National Ice Hockey League in the UK. And so that rivalry's gone. But I don't really have a favourite team in the elite league. I'm afraid. Milton Keynes and Guildford are the closest teams in the elite league to where I live, and so next season I will try and see some games there. Hello, Mr. Winnipeg. But thank you for another good question. Next question, please. Wait for a question. I mean, I can't drone on about ice hockey forever. There's got to be other sports. um, but no, the Elite Ice Hockey League, Cardiff have a good side. Um, very, very good team. Um, Manchester Storm, one of our Bracknell Bees players, on a two-way contract with the Manchester. No, with the Nottingham Panthers. Sorry, Tetlow is on a two-way contract. So my NFL team are Green Bay Packers. It's Green Bay. Sorry about that. It has to be Green Bay. I've been watching the Cheeseheads for quite some time as a kid. I'm not overly a big fan of the NFL though. I think there are a lot of issues with the sport that the sport needs to tackle if it is to um, grow still at youth level. I'm not a big fan of the NFL coming over here to London because the idea was to have a professional team here in the UK, and the NFL Europe has failed. Um, but yeah, no, the NFL does get more viewers and more fans than the CFL as well. Um, CFL, the rule variations. Um, yeah, okay. Do we see NFL games? Well, we have a thing called Sky Sports, so we can watch sport from all over the world. We do have the NFL games in London. Um, I have watched them every now and then. We do have the Super Bowl shown live in the UK. But I will say this about the NFL: the original plan when they were bringing games here to the UK was the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He owns an English football team in Fulham, soccer team as you would call it, and I think his idea was to hopefully go to the NFL Commission and bring a team over to the UK. But here's the problem: NFL in Europe failed badly, and you've got to take into effect the travel and TV timings. We're 5 hours ahead of the east coast of the US and Canada over here in the UK. So um, for it to work, we would have to play games almost in the middle of the night. Next question, please, from anyone. Anyone post a question, I'll try and answer it. At the bottom 7 teams, Albion to Swans as it stands in the Premier League. Right, that's a very good one. Basically, West Brom, I think, are relegated. Southampton have got themselves in a mess they shouldn't have got themselves in. Stoke, I think, will go down as well, and I think West Ham, will get relegated. As a whole, as the bottom 7 teams, I wouldn't say it's the weakest set of teams ever in the league. I've seen in my lifetime watching sport as I have, and going to matches as I have since I was the age of 6, and watching the Premier League from its first ever season. There have been weaker teams at the bottom. Don't forget Derby County with 11 points in one season in 2006 and Sunderland with 19 points. We're not at that level, but it's an interesting one because the dynamic of the league is changing, and I think the actual quality level of the Premier League is less. Yes, Derby were bad. I don't think we'll ever see a Derby County style season ever again. I really don't. But look, I think the quality level of the Premier League as a whole is uh, poor. What sports have I played before? I've played rugby union, rugby league. I've played a little bit of Aussie rules, AFL. Just type AFL into YouTube and check it out. I've done a little bit of that at school. I played cricket. Um, I played soccer, as you call it, football, and I've tried my hand at snooker and pool. And I used to be a semi-pro poker player in a past life. But that's a good question. Yeah, that's some good questions. Next question. I mean, there's only 3 of you watching, so you must have a because you guys are from all over the world. Yeah, I used to play poker. Yeah, I narrowly missed out on a TV qualifying spot about 10 years ago. I was in a poker league that qualified for TV tournaments, and I missed out by a couple of points and a couple of games. Um, but yeah, any more questions? I mean, questions about what I feel about the NHL season would be great. I've been a big NHL fan. Okay, with tennis Grand Slam remain the 4 same cities, even though right, okay. At the moment, I can see tennis staying where they are, because the infrastructure is there. You have the infrastructure in Melbourne, at Wimbledon, in Paris, and in New York. The infrastructure is there, and with Shanghai, people forget this, but China with the Yangtze and Yellow Rivers, they tend to flood a lot, and Shanghai is a very polluted city as well. So I can't see tennis players wanting um, to go there because when the Beijing Olympics was on, athletes complained about the air pollution and the smog. So I don't know. It's in the future maybe they might bring a 5th Grand Slam title in. Stanley Cup Finals. Okay. I haven't answered this question yet. This is a difficult one because Nashville are the powerhouse in the West. Um, but at the moment, I think the East is going to throw up a few surprises. I think the West is going to be between three teams for the conference final. I think Vegas, the Jets here, and Nashville will be one of those three teams will go through from the Western Conference. I'm not going past the conference final at this point. In fact, we haven't even started the playoffs. So much can change. The East is very interesting. I think the Florida Panthers are on a roll at the moment, and I think New Jersey will miss out. I think the Pittsburgh Penguins will miss out. I have some videos on this as well. I think it will most likely be a Nashville Boston final. That's why I think we'll be in the finals for the Stanley Cup. Nashville Boston. I have no idea why. We haven't even started the playoffs yet, and a lot can happen. Injuries and suspensions. So from this far out, so much can change. I would say the East is more up in the air at the moment. But that's a very good question, though. I do appreciate that question. It's a very good one. Next question, if anyone's got one. Oh, what's this one? Yeah, it's as you say. I will say this: we're too far out. Oh, Major League Rugby. I'll get to that question in a second. Let me just finish off with the ice hockey. The reason why I'm saying the NHL playoffs at this point in time are too close to call and very difficult is Florida are going on a run in the East. Columbus are on a run in the East. Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and who is another team that's going to. Philadelphia and Pittsburgh are the teams that actually are not guaranteed yet. That are big teams in there. The Major League Rugby, I think it will work out because I've been watching the America's Rugby Championship. I've watched every game of it this season. It's the North American version of Six Nations. I think it will work out. Some of the big name signings that are there and the teams that have signed up, they've gone for sports markets. They're starting off small to grow big, and rugby league and rugby union is growing in the US. Canada, unfortunately, are having a really bad period of time with their national side, but in the US, rugby union and league is growing. You've qualified consistently for both the Rugby League World Cup and Rugby Union World Cup. There is an interest there for both codes of rugby in the US. But that's a very good question. But I do think it will work out. I think the America is a sports mad country, and an individual city will buy into a sport as long as it's properly marketed. The next question. I hope I answered that one correctly as well. I hope I covered that as best as I can. Any more questions? Oh, I used to work at a golf course. I used to work at a golf course with a friend of mine who unfortunately passed away. He got me a job at a golf course, and I've met a few golfers. Unfortunately, I came off my motorcycle a couple of years ago, and I damaged my shoulder and my neck. So I don't think I'll be playing any more sport anytime soon. I have tried my hand at the odd round of golf, but I think with my neck and back, I don't think I. Oh, here we go. But and yeah, the Masters. I do watch the Masters. Do you think that virtual reality will become a useful tool for professional sports, for instance, where I plan? Um, well, if you've been following my channel, you'll see I did a review on Ready Player One. Um, Video gaming, some people take it as seriously as a sport. There's these video game championships. I do think that may be taking it a step too far, but at the same time, technology is improving so quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of tech does end up in sports somewhere where they will use the virtual reality in training situations at least. But I'm not 100% certain that is the right path sport should go down. We're finding a lot of people at the moment are not taking enough activity outside of the virtual world? That is a good question. Major arena soccer. I've heard of major arena American football, indoor arena football. I've not heard of a. It's like futsal, is what you're talking about. Oh, and we've got any question. Futsal. That's the arena. I'm trying to keep up with all the questions here, so bear with me. The major arena soccer league. No, I haven't, but I have heard of futsal and I have played indoor futsal, and it's great fun. So I will check that out on YouTube and I'll check that out online, and then next live stream I'll have some answers for you. Though. My favourite goalie in the NHL. That's a good one. Uh, very very good one because there are so many. Of all time, Dominic Hasek. Of all time, Dominic Hasek. I don't really have a said favourite now. If I mention Hellebuck, then I'll be biased because I'm a Jets fan. But of all time, it'd be Dominic Hasek, followed by Ron Hextall and Patrick Waugh. They're my favourite ever goalies in the NHL. I don't really have one at the moment because there's so many good young goalies at the moment. But no, that was a very, very good question. I do appreciate that question. Next question, please. And so far, the questions have been brilliant so far, but I'm very interested in the amount of questions I have, and from what I know of where you guys are from, because some of you are regular subscribers. Yeah, no, Hellebuck. I wouldn't say he sucks on breakaways. I would say because he's a younger goaltender, he's still developing his game. Um, I wouldn't say he sucks on breakaways. A lot of goalies, some are very good, some are decent. I wouldn't say he's still a young goalie. He still has time to develop and work on the angles. I just think some goalies are better on breakaways than others. Well, for half of the serious professional league, and that's really some. Um, the thing is, to be part of a normal league, professional league, you have to not only to play the skills, but you have to play a team game as well. Freestyle footballers with all those funky skills is great, but they've got to be able to survive a 90-minute match or futsal, however long that lasts. I can't remember how long futsal lasts, but you've got to be able to survive, not just be able to play for 90 minutes and prove to a coach. You've got to do team working as well, and you've got to sometimes go a long periods without the ball. So until a freestyle footballer breaks that boundary, I don't know. It's open to debate. With the You develop your skills young, and that's why we have youth academies. It's the same with any sport. You could have any sport, but freestyle football is a difficult one because you've got to learn the team skills of defending as well without the ball and man marking. So that's why I don't think at the moment a freestyle footballer will be able to break into a professional league because you've got all those years of developing skills with teammates, and also you've got to play without the ball with defending and marking, and that's why I don't think so. The XFL is going to be crap. It's a WWE invention. It failed once. It will fail again. XFL is not going to work. I really don't. Simply because the NFL and CFL, as they are well established leagues with established fan bases, with the draft and the collegiate system supporting them, and high school football supporting them. That's why I don't think the XFL will succeed. If anything, it's just going to be a retirement home for has been professional North American football players. That's my opinion. It failed the first time round in 2001. It will fail again. It just might take a couple of seasons before it fails. It's an expensive waste of time. That's my opinion. But it also hasn't been very much advertised over here in the UK. And WWE as a product and as a company is losing viewership week on week. Obviously, Rules Anthem. Oh, to be honest, I don't really have one. I don't really have a favourite Aussie Rules Anthem, but at the same time, um, I haven't been able to watch any games this season so far because YouTube, in its in its wisdom, is blocking everything. But I just enjoy the game. I just enjoy the sport, and the atmosphere the fans of Aussie Rules bring is brilliant. What other? Oh, Richmond is the best. To be honest, I like the Fremantle Dockers and the West Coast Eagles. I like teams from Perth, so. Uh, but that's a good one. That's something some of these questions I may not be able to answer. So, but I appreciate all the questions you're giving. Next question, please. I mean, I can show you some of my hockey jerseys if you want from my team. I'm more than happy to do so. I just have to go to my cupboard and get them out. I've got a fair few, including the one I'm wearing. What do you think the US has to do to improve soccer in US quality? Right, this is a very good one. Now, when you had Jurgen Klinsmann in charge, you had there was the plan was to develop youth players, and the MLS is growing as a league. I think what needs to happen is with the MLS and the league as a whole is keep developing those youth players and I don't know if it's the American style no relegation system. Over here in Europe, obviously promotion relegation between the leagues is a thing. Maybe that might be uh, a way to try and change it, make it a two league system, and you promote and relegate between the divisions maybe. But you definitely need more youth development, and with the game growing, I can see that is going in the right direction. But it also comes down to coaching at national level. Some of the coaches you've got to get a good coach, and you've got to basically get the players to buy in. Jared Hayne experiment. Jared Hayne's experiment was a joke. It was a complete mess. He's had allegations against him of sexual misconduct. So um, Jared Hayne's an asshole. That's my opinion on it. I don't like Jared Hayne. He's a prick. But that's my personal opinion on it. The experiment failed because the coach didn't use him correctly. But at the same time, you look at him now back in NRL. He's unfit. He's not at pace with it. He's not at pace with the Parramatta Eels. He ruined the Gold Coast Titans' chances because he got the coach sacked because he was just an egotistical wanker. And personally, I think he's done in his own image nothing but harm. And he's given the image that rugby players of both codes cannot play Aussie rules when at Aussie rules. I mean NFL. Sorry, when in reality, rugby union especially is nicking lots of American players for their national side. The Football World Cup. Well, the thing is with what's going on politically wise between Russia and everyone else. I don't know. I think it will be a European team simply because it's in Europe and South American teams tend to struggle in European World Cups. Um, the weather will have an impact. As again, until these friendlies are played and the warm up games before the World Cup are played, and we won't be able to get an assessment of what players are fit because injuries can happen. Harry Kane's injured at the moment for England, so injuries and suspensions going into the World Cup will have a bearing, and the weather will have a bearing as well, and the distance travelled. Whatever team can deal with the travel distance. So I'm not 100% um, sold on what any team. If I was to go for a World Cup winner, the French. Do you agree with the coach that this one's at 10 games in the Israel? No. Uh, the 10 games is in the NRL is for any team is personally because it, Denny's a muppet because the leagues are different styles. They're both first grade level. It's just different styles of play. The Australian NRL is more physical, more bash it up, and the English style at the moment is a little bit more skill based. In past, it was the English made great forwards, and we still do. I think the difference in style is the rule interpretation and the two ref system. If the Super League went to the same rule interpretation and the two ref system, the style of game will actually have to adapt to it. The NRL are going after the play the ball area at the moment. You have to now deliberately make an act to play the ball. You can't step over it. Super League's not doing that. So NRL are ahead in the game in the rule changes and player development. That's what it comes down to. I don't think it's because we've seen in the rugby world, the league, the World Club Challenge in the past that the English side sometimes win and the Australian side sometimes win. It's not the Aussies are winning every game or the English are winning every game. It's coming down to um, rule variations. That is what I think is the difference. Personally, I've also noticed that some of the Australian forwards are that little bit bulkier that play in the NRL and the imports we get into the Super League aren't as good, and the exports we send out are some of our best players, and we're not getting that kind of X factor Cooper Cronk or Jonathan Thurston back. So we're bleeding our best players to Australia at the moment. I'm afraid. Next question, but that is a good question. I still think the Leeds Rhinos coach is a Wally simply because his team got battered by Melbourne. That's why I think he said that. I don't think he could accept that he didn't prepare his team correctly. Next question, though. Uh, Major League Baseball. Well, there are plans that the Olympic Stadium in the UK, where West Ham United currently play, they're going to try and host an international series Major League Baseball game. The thing is, over here in the UK, there just isn't the audience for it. So I I do have a website that I follow that I can get Major League Baseball games to watch, but there isn't the audience for it over in the UK. There isn't enough people participating in the sport for me, with most of my viewers and subscribers being from the UK, to cover it at the moment. But um, I can always on my Twitter do some surveys and see what people come back and say. But at the moment, the Major League Baseball is not popular over here. I watched your video. You said you watched and like Steve Dangle. I think you said you learned a lot from it. Um, Steve Dangle one. The thing is with Steve Dangle, he does mostly on the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's a fan channel. I cover all sports. That's why I think I'm different. I like the way he does it with the sense of humor and the energy he puts in. There is another guy I watch called the Hockey Guy. Uh, he's more of a hockey fan channel. He covers every NHL franchise, even though he has his teams that he supports. I learn more from him, and I have a better Twitter and when I comment on his videos, he comments back, and I've sent him a few bits and pieces through the post. So the hockey guy is the guy I really watch more of. But Steve Dangle was the first hockey YouTuber that I watched. So when I do some of my videos, I've learned presenting style, but I don't think I would like to go down the what he's done with Sportsnet. That's just not my thing. Um, please bear with me. I've just got to go through these questions. I'm on the experimenting with one day cricket. No, it hasn't. One day cricket, it hasn't. I do think cricket in in a sense is the day night test match is the way forward with experimenting with how you do the main test cricket and first class cricket. But with the one day internationals and the T20s, that's making Test cricket more exciting as well because you'll have that middle order batsman who's an all rounder who will do an AB de Villiers and sweep it over his head. I don't think we've got quite to the end point just yet. There will come a climax at some point, but we'll see on that. Right. The thing is with me, I try, as you're saying, with the back to the Steve Dangle one, Mr. Tynomat Gaming Sports and Vlogs. I hope I've got you right there. If you're linking back to your Steve Dangle question, I my editing, I do it all in one take. So sometimes I may have tried to do a video, which may last 5 minutes, and I'll have like 20 takes. I think the most for me trying to do a video was 31 takes, where I was frustrated with how I wasn't doing it right. The thing is, I do this on my laptop, my mobile phone, and my iPad, which is over there somewhere. I can't find it, but I try and do it in one take. I don't have all the snazzy stuff that Steve Dangle has. I don't have the Sportsnet staff supporting me. I'm just a bloke at home who has an interest in sports. But I do appreciate the question that you did ask. But I'm more of a hockey guy kind of fan. It it sort of morphed. I stumbled across Steve Dangle by pure accident, basically, and I was just getting to watch the hockey guy, getting used to the hockey guys, and I've charted his development as well, and um, I have a good I wouldn't say good relationship, but I do talk to the hockey guy. I've sent him if you watch the hockey guys, one of his unboxing from fan subscriber gifts, I sent him some of my British hockey programs and a letter that he's got. So I invited him to this live stream tonight, but unfortunately he's got his kids hockey game. Otherwise, you could have actually had the hockey guy on here and you could discuss the Winnipeg Jets playoff hopes. Yeah, the hockey guy's good. He is good. Next question. If you bear with me though, when the questions come up in the chat, I'm trying to keep up. It is coming quite quick. What sport that frightened me the most? I was actually a goalie in field hockey at school. I wasn't frightened. I was um the thing that frightened me the most was when I was playing Aussie rules. I think that was we had a couple of games with at boarding school with some of the gap students from Australia coming over, and that was the one which I didn't quite work out. So no one passed me the ball, so I was the guy tackling people, and I kept getting bumped around. I think I was more frightened. I didn't understand the rules of Aussie rules when I first played it. Game that I played that most frightened me, or sport I played most frightened me, was when I was a kid. I rugby union. As a kid, I used to be terrified of getting hurt, but then my coach, when I got older, basically said, "Look, you've got the energy there." And then I just played out my skin one day, and I got bumped up a team, and then my coaches worked me really hard, so I got over my fear of getting flattened. But I didn't like being lifted in the line out. I think my fear of heights got the better of me, so I was better as a fullback or a winger in rugby union. But that's a good question. About field hockey, I played in goal. And the best way to describe my goalkeeping style for both soccer and field hockey is the monk from Mean Machine with Vinnie Jones. It's the best way to describe it. I'm interested in playing rugby in college. If you, well, it depends if you want to play rugby union or rugby league. I've played both kinds. Best tip for you is get a good core strength. Do some gym work. Go jogging every day. Practice your throw the ball up in the air or kick it straight up in the air and try and chase it and catch it. That'll help with your hand-eye coordination and find a mate to pass you the ball and just practice your passing, your spin passing, your pop passing. Um, but you're going to have to bulk up a little bit, do some gym work, get used to do some heavy lifting with your knees. If you've got a boxing punch bag, get your mate to hold it like a tackle bag and practice your tackle technique. You want to go low, drive with your shoulder, and make sure your head's on the right side, not the wrong side. If you're trying to tackle, um, watch if you want to learn about rugby union, watch some of the professionals do it. And when they say that the head's in the wrong position, make sure your head position when you tackle is in the right place. Otherwise, you can risk a neck or concussion kind of injury. First time I played, feel like I smashed. Yeah. Try to hospital wrestling with friends you don't understand. It's a setup that mostly fake. Yeah, no, yeah. That's why they say don't try it at home with the wrestling. I did that on my trampoline and almost killed my stepbrother, which, to be fair, I wouldn't have minded doing because he's a little prick. But there you go. Next question, though. Lol. Yeah, that lot must have. What sport would you go to the Olympics? Ah, okay. Orienteering would take too long. Well, that is a very interesting one. But in the Commonwealth Games, 10-pin bowling used to be a sport, so I would add 10-pin bowling. Um, you'll be surprised how many people will go bowling and won't admit it's a sport. It was a Commonwealth sport until recently. 10-pin bowling would be a sport I would add because you can do it singly or in teams and it's gender neutral. You can be male and female and it doesn't really matter because it comes down to skill of the bowler. Next question. That's a good one. That's a good one. Tug of war. Tug of war actually used to be in the Olympics. Originally, it was actually an Olympic sport. Tug of war. They took it out. Tug of war was an Olympic sport. Check it out. It's in the history books. Any other questions? Uh, Lacrosse. At my boarding school, the girls used to play lacrosse, not the men. So I've seen the chicks play it, and it's kind of cool. but But lacrosse is very similar to an Irish sport called hurling, which is derived from, which is also similar to ice hockey in a way. I have seen lacrosse, yes. Like the major, I don't know what the MLL or the NAL are, but the National Lacrosse League, I'm assuming, and the Major Lacrosse League, I'm assuming they are. I've seen snippets on the internet, but there's a sport, an Irish Gaelic sport called hurling. Hurling is very similar to lacrosse, except it's a bit more violent. I suggest you check it out. Hurling is the Gaelic Irish equivalent. Next question. I'm loving some of the questions, by the way, guys. Please keep them coming. You guys are brilliant. I know there's only a few of you in the lobby, but your questions to me are brilliant, and I'm definitely going to do another live stream. Just so you know, you guys have been brilliant tonight. Women fave 5, 6, and 7. This has been raised multiple times by ex-professionals, pundits, fans, and health experts. Personally, I'm not 100%. I mean, it's a difficult one. I don't want to come down one side or the other. It really comes down to, do the women want to play 5 sets? We have to ask the players themselves. We have to ask the women's WTA, the World Women's Tennis Association, if they want to do 5 sets. I don't think, me as a fan, I don't really watch tennis unless it's one of the big major four Grand Slams, really. But I think they would have to poll and get feedback from the female tennis players on that one. I don't play tennis. I don't have any friends who play tennis regularly. I'm not the best person to ask on that, but I understand the question you're asking. I think it's down to the women's tennis players if they. I think they should be asked how they feel and if they should or shouldn't play 5 sets. But good question though. Will we go on? No. I think 2020 is the perfect length as the short format of the game. I think 10 overs is far too short because you can't really build a score with 10 overs. If you've got two good fast bowlers and a spin bowler, you'll be done in half an hour and it will be dull. Training, yes. I think if they were to training sessions where fans can watch, of course, by all means, if it's an open training session, get the fans in to watch, but not a game, not an actual match. That would be not worth watching. And the TV, oh, we go to an ad break. Oh, the game's finished. Yeah, no, with the ad revenue they'll lose out on, it wouldn't work. Too short a format, but good question though. Next question. You guys have been good tonight. I mean, it's been a small lobby, but you guys have been good, and I appreciate this. I'm hoping to do more of these live streams, and the feedback I've been getting from you guys has been brilliant. I know you're all around the world. I know one's in the US, one's in Canada, and one's in Australia. So I appreciate you guys bearing with me, considering I'm in the UK and the time differences. I really appreciate it. Next question. Any more questions? I want to keep going because I've got a subscriber who's going to come in at 9 o'clock. And he's from the UK, and I want to keep this going till 9 for him because he can't. It's like, oh, who's been the biggest waste of money as a forward in the Premier League? Biggest waste of money. I would say Sanchez at Man United. Alexis Sanchez has not. He didn't play well for Arsenal for the last 18 months. I've been very critical of him on my channel. Um, I I watched the FA Cup final against Chelsea in my mate's pub near where I live, up the road from where I live, at next town down the road, who are right next to Maidenhead United's ground. So if you follow soccer, type in Maidenhead United, the pub on the corner, that's my mate's boozer. So I was watching the FA Cup final in there. He looked good in that match. That should be his last match for Arsenal. This season at Arsenal, when he was there, he was not pulling his weight, very lazy. He goes to his dream club and he scored 1 goal in 10 games. So for 35 million, straight swap for Mkhitaryan, wherever they were. I mean, Man City weren't even willing to pay the 35 million for him. So his wage demands, I think, is a problem as well. Sanchez. Yeah, thank you for mentioning it's a good live stream. I do try my best. But that is a very good footballing question there. Next question, please. Okay. Good stream. Look forward to my has Jeff Horn got a chance? To be honest, boxing is not a sport that I follow much anymore, and there's a reason why I'm going to answer this question as best I can. Either boxer has a chance. Do you know why? Simply because the amount of boxers recently, we've had I think 5 or 6 fatalities due to brain injuries. I think the bigger issue is one boxer. I think it was the Golkin fight. I think I got his name right. And a guy was saying this guy's on steroids, he should be banned for life. There is an issue with boxers abusing anabolic steroids in boxing, and you've got to imagine getting hit in the head by a guy who's on steroids. The damage, the brain damage that will be caused. Yeah, that's why I've gone off boxing. I would love to answer your question. I'm going to go 50-50 either way. I'm sorry I can't answer your question on that. Boxing is not really a sport that I want to follow on this channel anymore. I've decided I've only done a couple of boxing videos, and the refereeing as well. No, the refereeing. I had this conversation. There's at my local pub, an old Irish boy. He's only about yay high. He's that high on me. He's an ex-boxer, and he agrees with me that boxing, the refereeing is terrible at the moment. And the reason why we got into a conversation about Eubank Junior's fight where he almost killed the guy in the ring, and his dad was saying the referee's not doing his job properly. Hit him in the body, you're going to kill him. Yeah, it's got to the point where referees should clearly step in, and they don't, and the health of the athletes is put at risk, and that's why I can't watch it anymore. As an ex, I used to spar with people. I've had mates who do Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing. I was tempted to get back into just training, and with the recent amount of deaths and severe injuries in boxing, it's put me out. So that's my answer on that one. But that's a very good question. No, it's a question I can't answer. I'm afraid. But you challenged me. You caught me out. I can't answer a question. Next question, please. That's fine. But I appreciate the question you put forward. But refereeing in boxing is not good at the moment. It's very poor. Um, Boxers are dying, and it's got to stop. Um, they need to also the medical professionals need to say you need to take more time off and assess them more correctly as well. That's my view on that one. Um, no, I have not been watching my March Madness, I'm afraid. So I can't really comment on that. So I don't really watch much TV in the UK unless it's sports based. But fair point. I'll have to look into that. So that is a good one. I'll have to look into that. So thank you for bringing something to my attention. I've got something to research. So thank you very much. Next question. I mean, in about 15 minutes, I'll have one of my other subscribers joining the live chat. So I'll be very. I want to keep this going for him actually. Uh, my favorite ever Super Bowl was the one that we just had. The Eagles win a couple months ago. That was the best Super Bowl I've seen. Was the Eagles defeating the Patriots. I even predicted it on this channel. I actually predicted it by the exact scoreline almost. So yeah, the Eagles Super Bowl win was my favorite one. Good question. Although I've watched every single Super Bowl for the last 13 years, so in without missing a single one. So yeah, this year's Super Bowl was the best. Was my favorite. Good question. Oh, next question. Your questions are brilliant, by the way, guys. Please keep them coming. Brilliant. What's your favorite? Yeah. Is the debacle at West Ham a says? No, it's not. There are worse. My team is Blackburn Rovers. We're owned by the Venkies. That's a mess. Blackpool with the Oyston family. Leeds United with Peter Ridsdale. Portsmouth. I could list off more. That's not the worst. Liverpool. What the hell is Liverpool? You've lost me, Tommy Gunn. You've lost me. I don't know what that is. I was midway through answering another question. You've caught. I'll have to research that as well. Thank you, Tommy Gunn. You got me on some research stuff. I've got some research to do for the next live stream. I'll keep that in mind. Back to the West Ham issues. The West Ham issue. I've done videos on it. The club don't own the ground. It's a mess. Sullivan Gold. They've been in prison. You can look at that. It's out there for offences. I have videos on my football soccer playlist. So if you want to watch them, please do. There's lots on there, but that's a very good question. I have to admit, it's not the worst one. I've seen worse. I have seen worse. Sunderland are in a mess right now. Birmingham City's going down the pans. West Brom. There are multiples. This one's not the worst, though. Not the worst club disaster, but it's in my top 10. I think my worst one is Portsmouth. Portsmouth is the worst club disaster with a club falling from Premier League to League Two. That's the worst one. But a very good question. Next question. But you guys have been great, by the way. You guys have been brilliant. You've asked some very good questions, and I'm more than happy to keep answering them. I mean, I've got to check how many questions you've asked me. I mean, you must have asked about 100 or so. I mean, we've been going for 50 minutes. How will Ronda Rousey ruin how she goes? Well, the thing is, she's been signed with WWE for a while actually, as a guest, coming in every now and then doing those guest spots. Now she's gone there. I think she realised the cage fighting UFC type. I think she retired at the right time from mixed martial arts. The thing is, she's a fan of pro wrestling, so for her, it's just a childhood dream for her. So, and I always tell people, achieve what you can in life. Really, the fact that she's done it, fair play to her. You can't blame her. It's steady money, it's guaranteed money. Whereas UFC, it's you go from prize pot to prize pot, really. The fact that she was a top level UFC fighter, I mean, she's helped the sport for women, and I think getting women involved in sport is very important. And um, it is it's something that she's loved since she was a kid. And that jacket she wears is I think Owen Hart's jacket or Bret Hart. It's one of the Hart brothers' jackets that was given to us. So um, she's been a fan since before she was involved in UFC. So for her, it's a dream come true. And she can cope with the media and the mic work because she's been had the media in her face as a UFC fighter for a long time. Um, I did a video on that as well. I honestly think that's a shrewd move by her because it guarantees her an income. Um, Most pro sportsmen and women, when they retire, don't have a guaranteed job, so she's actually quite smart. That is a very good question, though. But I don't watch WWE anymore. But I might have to watch for Ronda Rousey because she's also pretty fit. Next question, though. Good question, though. Good question. You guys are showing a lot of sports knowledge as well, not just me. I just happen to know a lot. But I'll ask you some more personal questions about why I do the channel and stuff. I really want to, fill you in about what I'm all about. Really, is sports is something, but ask me some more personal questions about me. I'm really interested in what you guys want to know. Um, I'm gonna have to message a mate, one of my other subscribers, off my phone in a minute to say that the live stream is actually on, and I've actually kept going for him. So you guys asking these questions means I can keep going for an extra few minutes just so he can get his be involved. He couldn't come at eight. What's your favourite female sports player in a sport? Interesting. I don't really have a particular favourite female athlete, if that's what you're getting at. But I do like watching women's rugby union. I do like watching women's soccer, as you would call it, as I would call it, football. Um, but I don't really have a particular favourite, if I'm honest. I don't really have a favourite. Steph Horton, England women's captain. I think A, she's attractive, and B, she's a very good football player. Steph Horton, I think, would probably be my favourite because I've followed her career from Arsenal to Manchester City for quite some time. But that is a very good question. I've looked at my data as well, and this is interesting. In the last month, only 1.9% of my viewers have been female. But when I was focused on the Rugby League World Cup, that was pushing about 20%. So I'm very surprised how um, that's done. I think a big tournament brings out families to watch as well. But we need to get more women involvement in sport, and then we can talk about it, and then we can get more young girls and women involved in also doing things like this as well, where they're discussing sport and get more interest. Because at the moment, Tonga have announced that all state school pupils who are female are banned from playing rugby and football. They banned it for school age girls. Um, and there's been an outcry because Tonga is a rugby mad country. But no, next question. That's a brilliant question. Steph Horton, the Women England's captain, is my favourite. It's more to do with their culture, actually, in Tonga. I wouldn't say it's disgusting. The parliament in Tonga is basing it off their cultural heritage, and trying to keep some kind of their culture together because they feel that the islands are being too westernized. And I understand this globalization does affect culture, but at the same time they do have an obesity crisis. So we can't judge them too much. Overtime, I do and I don't. Now, in the length of time I've been watching the NHL is the current expansion era from 1992 onwards. So I predate Gary Betchman. Yes, him. We don't like Gary Betchman. He's a wanker. The 3 versus 3 has been adopted in the UK league in the level I watch. So the team I watch, they do play 3-on-3. When the NHL takes a lead, other leagues follow. Um, I'm not overly sold, but I'm not overly disappointed. But I have noticed if it does go to a shootout, the players are more tired, and you can physically see them struggling sometimes if it's been a very fast-paced game for their fitness level and the level of hockey they play. Um, but overtime is overtime. I We'll see how it. I mean, I haven't really. We've got to gauge what happens in the playoffs um, to really get an understanding of how fit these athletes are. And it was meant to reduce penalty shootouts. A lot of games are still going to shoot out in the NHL, so teams have worked out put three defensive men on the ice or three attacking players, and they go like that. There is no plan B. It's they either put three defenders out and they knacker themselves attacking, or we go for attack. So it's the same as 4-on-4. Just you've got to think of 3-on-3 coincidental penalties for 5 minutes. That's the best way to look at it. Overtime is overtime. It is a lottery, winner takes all. It doesn't matter because when you get a power play, it can be 4-on-3, 5-on-4. So you can tinker the rules as much as you want. It's overtime's overtime, and it's exciting. However many men on the ice. Good question though. Next question. Because you're asking some good questions, guys. I mean, please keep it up. I'm hoping some more viewers will come in a bit. Soccer. Well, I think it will be a European side that wins, but I wouldn't be surprised if a South American side does do something. But my dark pick, uh, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. But I'm going to say France, both to win it as it stands with their depth, but actually in the World Cup, how they've looked in previous years. Uruguay possibly, but South American teams do struggle in Northern Hemisphere World Cups. I'm just putting that out there. Historically, they have very few have done very well. Brazil, notwithstanding, Argentina, notwithstanding, getting to the late stages, it's mostly European teams in the semi-finals and finals at World Cups in Europe, and it is European Russia they're playing in. So you have to bear that in mind. So I'm going for a France. Um, as my overall favourite, but as a dark horse, Uruguay is a very, very good choice. Argentina would be a bit more risky because of how they're playing, but we shall see. There's also any African country because most of their players are based in Europe. That would be very interesting to see how the African countries do as well. Maybe Mexico. A lot of their players play in Europe as well. Mexico could be another one. A good question. I haven't put too much thought to the World Cup yet. We're still too far out for me to start making predictions on it. I'll have to see how the warm up games go coming in. Do you know a sport thing? Um, I mostly go to my local ice hockey team, but their season's now over. So I posted a few little snippets of games, but I tend to not get the camera out. I tend to watch and enjoy it. I do. It's more how I enjoy my sport. I don't want to remember because I filmed it. I've seen it. That's why I remember. But I do reviews on my local ice hockey team. I have done them on this channel before. I have done a few reviews on my team, the Bracknell Bees. I do have them in my ice hockey playlist. So if you want to watch some of my reviews I've done, by all means, please watch. But I tend to only film the warm ups on my phone when they're warming up before the game. I don't tend to film anything to do with the game at all. Not because I don't think you guys would enjoy it. That's not how I enjoy my sports. I enjoy my sports by just watching and feeling the atmosphere and that's how I tend to enjoy it. I tend to get a bit annoyed when people are getting their phones out during play of a sport. Uh, but next season I might do a couple of post match reviews for you guys. I might do some pre match reviews. I've got a few other subscribers who subscribe because I am a hockey fan and they've met me and so yeah, a friend of mine he does actually film the Bracknell Bees games. So he's Bees TV. He doesn't do every game. He has got a family to consider, and he is also got his own company. But when they arrange it, that would be interesting. Drone racing. The thing is, with anything to do with tech, online gaming, remote control car racing, RC racing, anything like that, um, you'll have to get some kind of streaming. Someone will have to stream it, and it'll have to be popular. I'm not saying it isn't popular and people don't do it as a hobby, but until a content provider such as me, for example, let's use me as an example. Let's say I was to film a couple lads drone racing, and I uploaded it, and people suddenly went nuts for it. Until there actually is a mainstream audience where the mainstream media can buy into that, they won't do it. I think because it's a tech thing, and it really comes down to how long your battery lasts, maybe. I don't know. Um, but it's something that the future could happen with the technology. There's a lot of tech questions. I think drones can be useful for helping mainstream sport in a way when they film. You can film your training sessions from the air and say, look, this is what is happening here, and use it in that sense. Drone racing, I don't know. But we'll have to see what happens in the next 10, 20 years, because the way technology is evolving at the moment. Um, but that's a very good question. I'm not 100% certain how drone racing. I know it obviously happens. People do it. I've got friends who build RC remote control petrol driven cars and race them. But until um, the mainstream media want to get involved, if they can find themselves an audience, then they might try and sell it. But Robot Wars, for example, if you've seen Robot Wars or you know about it, um, there was the US version, there's the British version, there's a few similar type uh, where you build the robots to kill each other. That has sort of got a following, but I have watched Ultimate Frisbee. I have been told about it. I have seen snippets. That is how a sport can evolve, where you just play a normal hobby in like frisbee, and you can turn it into a sport. That is, I think, what these drone racing or RC racing to make it a professional thing. I don't know. Robot Wars, though, is an example where you can turn a hobby where you build a remote control RC vehicle into a killing machine. And it was popular and it became a tournament and teams did form and there are leagues out there, extreme robot leagues. So yes and no, it depends on the interest from the mainstream fan. You want to get that average Joe in the crowd or on the TV to watch and invest his money and time. But good questions though. Um, all those last few questions are all linked. It's basically turning hobbies into sports. Um, it depends if you can get the TV audience and the advertising revenue to come with it. That's what it all comes down to. If it's too niche, up and it will stay niche until one does something so extreme in that particular hobby that it suddenly people want to pay attention because he's put it on YouTube. That's I think where it's at the moment. It's a bit niche, but good questions. Next question, please. Um, I would say I'll do the live stream for like another 20 minutes. But you guys have been brilliant. What's this? More sports call out TV and go straight to stream on YouTube. Switch to well, BT Sport do broadcast the Champions League and Europa League finals straight to YouTube without having to go on to BT Sport. I think it is the way forward. I think the NRL and AFL have been too short sighted. I think the NHL have been too short sighted. Um, I think, yeah, they can still get the ad revenue. They still can. And for those who pay to have the ads actually in the program itself, when they go, this is sponsored by, you get the ads. I'm not monetized at the moment. I was monetized before. Obviously, my ads come up. No, they will still get the ad revenue. If anything, they probably will get a better ad revenue. Um, I think looking at my data as well, I've done this. This is how I link into this question. I was looking at my data for the my channel, and my biggest age range of viewers are from the age of, I would say, 18 to 34, the 18-30 club. Most are from 25 to 34. They're not paying for pay-per-view sports anymore. They're turning off it. So these sports leagues need to realise there's a reason why they may not be getting the good TV. I think it is going to go to free streaming where the ads come up and then you can skip ad, or they have 30-second ads which you can't skip, which you get on YouTube. They are realising it. It may take them a long while, but people our age not paying for the cable TV, pay per view sports, the pay per view channels, they're not doing anymore. They found ways to either get around the pay per view or they're going on the internet and they're just streaming it legally or otherwise. Um, I do think more sports will cut out TV. Eventually, TV will either sports will have to go all free to air, so subscription TV where you pay to view, or you pay for a TV box. I don't know how it is in America and Australia, but over here we have Sky and we have Virgin. You have the TV box. You have to pay to get 300 channels, whereas 80 of those channels you can get a thing called Freeview or FreeSat. but you don't have to pay for them. There are some free sports channels already on there. I think the way to go is go back free to air. Put all the channels on free to air TV. You'll get more viewership. I think pay per view TV is a model that's dying. But very good question. Next question, please. Any more questions? What is the most famous sport? I've met several. I have met several. Some of them you may not know. Some of you may do know. I've met Barry McGuigan, ex-boxer. I've met Freddie Flintoff. I've met Stan Collymore, David James, Kenny Dalglish, Gary Lineker, Paul Gascoigne, Gaza, yes, Pisshead. I've met the entire Bracknell Bees squad. I've met the entire Sheffield Wednesday squad from '96. I've met the Liverpool squad from '96. I've met Ben Cohen, a Rugby Union World Cup winner. I've met Sir Clive Woodward twice. Yeah, Gaza. Yeah, I've met him 5 times. Drunk, very drunk. He was pissed. I've met God, I've met quite a few. My favourite sportsman I've met though, I will say this: I've met football managers, I've met rugby players, I've met rugby coaches. My friend Max Leheath, he used to play in the Super Rugby in Australia. He plays for Bath. I went to school with him. So there, he's my favourite sportsman I've actually met because I went to school with him. Um, Definitely of King. Okay, that's fair. You know, uh, but if you, as you are Australian and you live out, I believe in Melbourne, is it musical Neptunian? Um, you may have heard of a rugby player called Max Leheath. Yeah, I went to school with him, so I can say I met him before he was famous. Yeah, Max Leheath. Um, he is a prop. He played for London Irish. He then went, I think, to Melbourne Rebels for a year. Um, and he's now at Bath. I went to school with him. He was a school friend of mine. So I could say I met him before he was famous. Um, but he's a sportsman I've met before he was famous because I went to school with him, and he's a very nice guy. Really down to earth. Um, I've met many. I used to work at a golf course conference centre. I've met a lot. Um, but it's interesting that some of them are really arrogant and others are really, really pleasant people. Um, so it's I wouldn't say what's my favourite one, but I would say Freddie Flintoff was really nice. Bought me a pint. Barry McGuigan was funny. He bought me a pint. Um, but overall, I've met plenty of sportsmen and women. I'm not overawed by them, if you know what I mean. But ask me some other questions, please. They don't have to be sports based. They can be personal about the history of me. I'm more than happy to answer anything really. But it has been great having all your questions. Do you play? I used to play saxophone and trumpet and a bit of bass. Oh, don't worry about the capital letters. Don't worry. Don't worry. You got the question. I can read it. It's fine. Um, I used to play trumpet and bass. That's it. I don't play anything now. Nor do I want to take up any musical instrument in the future. It's not my thing. I'm not really a musician of sorts. But keep the questions coming. I'm going to message my other subscriber quickly, see if he is going to come on the live stream. But I appreciate all the questions tonight. They have been brilliant. I'm not gonna lie, they have been brilliant. Let me just turn the volume down on my phone. I don't think you want to listen to. Oh, my phone is just gone mad. But get another question ready, and I will answer it. I've just got to send one message off to a subscriber if I can find where he sent me that email. Um, oh, stupid thing. Do you have any more questions? I've just messaged my other subscriber to see if he's going to come into the live stream. If he doesn't come within 5 minutes, I'm. Oh, does the Commonwealth Games? I do watch it. For the athletes concerned, yes, it, and I do, and yes, I do watch the NBA as well. Um, the Commonwealth Games, I do watch it. Um, Uh, the athletes concerned in the Commonwealth Games, it means something to them because it's part of the Olympic cycle and it's part of the World Championship cycle. It's another tournament for them. And it also means more athletes from the UK, for example, get split into all the nations of the UK, including the Channel Islands and the Isle of Man. It means they can put their hand up and say, look, you've overlooked me for the main British side. I'm now been selected for the Isle of Man in cycling. I can do something, or athletics. It does mean something to people in the UK. I do watch the NBA occasionally. It's not my favourite sport, the NBA. It, I just think it. I do watch it every now and then. I have watched a fair few games. I do watch off a. I do find I found a streaming site that I watch it off. I'm not paying the prices that the pay per view TV companies over here in the UK want to charge. So, but I do watch it occasionally. I'm not really following it, as in I don't really follow. If you know what I mean. But I will watch the odd game if it's on. A good question. Any more questions? Now that someone else has joined the live chat. Um, what Premier League team do you support? I don't support Premier League team. My other subscribers come in. I actually am. My team is in League One. I'm a Blackburn fan. I have been since 1992, before we won the Premier League. So I'm not a glory supporter. I've been supporting Blackburn since I was 2 years old. You can blame my father for that. Um, and I've seen the way it's going. We're going back to the Championship, so hopefully, fingers crossed, in a couple of years we'll be back in the Premier League. It's been a long time out, and it's been too long for the fans. But good question. Next question, please. Um, I'm going to keep the live stream going till about my time, 9:45, so another half an hour, and then the live stream is going to end because I have other things to do. You kind of run out of questions. I'll ask me some personal questions about my background, uh, my life, how I got into sport. I'd be more than happy to tell you how. Uh, you can ask me anything you want, really, as long as it's within reason. Obviously, I'm not minted, by the way, so I can't flash the cash. But please ask any questions that you feel relevant to the channel or the knowledge you want to gain. How do I get into watch my father? My dad used to play non-league um, football. I will get to the next question in a minute. So I've got a few questions now, so I will try and go through. My dad played non-league soccer or football, depending on where you are in the world, because I know there's viewers all over the world. He played for Dorchester Town in England. He then joined the army. Then me and my sister came along. My dad also played rugby union for the army, and he did athletics. My dad's dad, did athletics for the army as well, and beat Roger Bannister in a 4 minute 6 second mile 6 months before Roger Bannister did the 4 minute mile. That's all claim to fame. My other granddad played for Stevenage in the non-league and played against my dad in a football match before my dad met his daughter, my mum. The reason why I got into sports was my dad used to come back on leave from the army and used to watch on telly, and then I picked it up and I basically got into sports that way through my dad. And then we used to go on the local ice rink, and then I got watching ice hockey, and we used to watch that on the telly. And I used to watch motorsport and all the sports. And then I went to boarding school where sport was a very important part of the day and the week. And I picked up. I was a good goalkeeper in football, soccer. Bit of a If you watch the film Mean Machine, I'm that kind of goalkeeper. I'm a bit nuts. I will tend to punch people. And then I started playing rugby, and I found that I was half decent at it because I was good at running. And I carried on, and I played a bit of cricket as well. And I carried on with my love of certain sports over others, but there are certain sports that I really do watch a lot of. And I've been to Lords. I've been to Twickenham. So I've been to two of the ultimate cathedrals of the sports that they are. What do I do for a living? At the moment, I'm in between jobs. I've had a few health issues, but I have worked for a lawyer's firm. I've worked laying cable. I've done multiple jobs for a living. So that's an interesting question. I'm a jack of all trades. I've been a salesman, paralegal, factory worker, warehouse worker. I've done grave digging. Yeah, I've dug graves for a living. I've done all sorts of jobs. So, but at the moment, I'm in between. Although I am applying for a warehouse job where I live, not too far from where I live, so I could still do the channel. I should work for ESPN. No, ESPN is owned by Disney, and their coverage is crap. Um, uh, Seriously, ESPN over here. We used to have ESPN over here. They took over where a company called Setanta failed, and that led to issues in the Scottish football league, with Gretna going out of business and Rangers having problems, and Dunfermline and Livingston and many clubs in Scotland, football clubs, soccer clubs in Scotland, having money problems because Setanta went out of business and ESPN tried to pick up the pieces and it all went horribly wrong. I'm not a fan of ESPN. Um, Favorite sports commentator on any sport? I'm afraid he's passed away now, but Richie Benaud, when he was alive at cricket, he was a good one. Richie Benaud, ex-Australian cricket player, passed away a few years ago. He was my favourite on Test match special. Um, Al Michaels, uh, he's yeah, he is good at what he does, but I don't particularly like American football commentators because it's I can see what's happening on the play-by-play. I don't need some moron telling me how to do it. Um, the World Cup question, Camel, you've entered a bit late. I was asked this earlier. I'm going for France just because of the depth they have, but we're too far out for me to make a prediction at this point. I don't like making predictions on tournaments because so much can happen between now and the start of the tournament, injuries and suspensions. But I would say France and maybe one of the maybe Germany defending it as well. Germany have a good squad. Um, and the fact it's been played in Russia, that might motivate them with the history between the two countries. That would be interesting. But also very good questions there, though. Next question, please. Um, I am going to wind this live stream down in about 20 minutes, but so far you guys have been brilliant and your input has been excellent. And for everyone who's been involved in the live stream, it's been great. I did not know. I haven't. The thing is, I don't have pay per view sport in my house, and it's not just my decision; it's my family's decision as well. I live with extended family, um, so there is that. Have I? I have actually lived outside the UK. I lived in Germany. I've lived in Italy. I've been most of Western Europe. I've been to the Balkans. So that's a very good question. I was actually born in West Germany when it was still West Germany, because of my dad's military posting was in West Germany. I lived there for 2.5 years. Came back to the UK, and then every summer for 3 months, I would go out to where my aunt lives in Italy and work for my aunt in the Alps. So I have lived outside the UK. I have travelled outside the UK across most of Western and Central Europe. Yeah, I'm actually that old. I'm actually old enough to remember West and East Germany and the Berlin Wall. Yeah. The closest challenges to New Zealand will be Ireland at the moment for me. I've done videos on it on my channel, and feel free to check them out. They're in my Rugby Union playlist. I covered all the Six Nations. At the moment, with the way Ireland are playing, I think they're the only team that I think will give New Zealand a challenge in a one-off game. Because the Rugby Championship's different. I know that's coming up, but for tournament rugby, one-off knockout game, Ireland. Ireland. I don't think England, Wales, Scotland, France, or Italy are close in the Six Nations. South Africa aren't close. Argentina are developing their play, and Australia, only when it's a Bledisloe Cup game do they tend to beat New Zealand. Otherwise, they get thrashed. So I'm going for the Irish at the moment because they're the best bet. That's my honest opinion. I think with the way Ireland are playing and how they play the Six Nations and how well they played and the depth they have, they're my favourites. A good question. Good question. Really good question. Next question, please. I will take 10 more questions and then I'm going to end the live stream. So you've got 10 more questions left. Make them count. Drum roll, please. You cannot run out of questions. There's got to be something. You, you you've been great. I mean, you've asked good questions. Um, I might have to come out to Melbourne. I would like to go see the Aussie rules in Melbourne or Adelaide, and I would like to see State of Origin, a State of Origin game. Vegas have actually. This is a question I've been waiting for all night. I do think Vegas have a very good chance. People are saying, "Oh, it's a first year team. They'll run out of steam." The thing is, they've got players in there who won the Stanley Cup, who played playoff hockey before, and with Fleury in there, he's won 3 Stanley Cups. With James Neal in there, he's got to the final last year with Nashville. These are the guys you need in that team. Yes, Vegas have a chance. Um, they need to start the last few games of the regular season, just go on a little run. The last 5, 6 games, maybe win 4 out of 6, but they have a chance. Every team who's seeded has a chance. Um, Champions League. Ooh, I do think Liverpool and Man City do have a chance. Liverpool have history in the competition. Um, it doesn't matter who's coaching them; they have history in the competition. The fans have that feeling. Liverpool, Man City, that is going to be a great game, a great tie because Liverpool have proven they can beat Man City. That will come down to the away goals because I think both sides can win the home games. It just comes down to how many they concede away. Um, yes, paintball is a sport. I have a friend who does pro paintballing. She's also a scientist and she's exceptionally fit. But I do have a friend who does paintballing as a sport. Yes, I would. I would class that as a sport because you are actively doing. We also airsofting as well. I class that as a sport. I have friends who do both paintball and airsoft. They are sports to me. And I would even probably class Laser Quest as an activity, as a hobby that could be turned into a sport. So yes, I do. Next question. These are great questions, by the way. So I'm really appreciating the questions that have been thrown my way. These are brilliant. Um, you guys have a lot of sports knowledge yourselves, so I've seen some of your channels as well. So don't think I have watched some Red Bull events. I haven't watched the Crashed Ice yet. I have been told about this event. I've seen the Red Bull Air Race and the Red Bull Soapbox Race. Um, Martial art, Muay Thai, my favorite martial art, or Thai kickboxing. Partly because I've done it, and I know how much it hurts to get hit in the head. But yeah, Muay Thai is my favorite martial art. The Crushed Ice, I am being told about it. I've been recommended it to watch by a friend. Um, so that's something I will be looking at over the next couple of weeks. I will be getting to learn the rules of the sport, and I'm more than happy to research it. But that's a very good question. Next question, please. Trying to read all the questions coming up and speak at the same time is really hard. I need a moderator. Damn it. But the favourite martial art for me is Muay Thai. Maybe Wing Chun as well. I used to spar with a late friend of mine who passed away. My goals for future at the end of the year. Wow, that's a good one. I will get onto the football one again. Let me just answer the football team I support is Blackburn Rovers. If you just joined the live stream, I answered that about 20 minutes ago. I'm a Blackburn Rovers fan. The goals for YouTube. Well, when I set I'm going to tell you a little history lesson about my YouTube. I initially had the channel just so I could subscribe to sports YouTubers, and I did this for a couple of years. And then 2 years ago, my best mate died in a freak motorcycle accident. He died very suddenly, and I sort of was a bit meh. I stopped doing things, and I was having issues with alcohol and drugs at the time anyway. And a few months pass, and then this time last year, I was still struggling with it. It had been 10 months, and I've unfortunately another friend's recently passed away this weekend in a similar freak accident. So yes, I have some bad luck. Two of my good friends have died in the last 2 years, and so last year I was struggling with depression, and I was having issues with drink and drug problems, and I started doing a vlog. And then one of my videos, I think it was when Neymar got his transfer to PSG, and I realised that was getting more views than me just ranting and raving about crap going on in the world. And then some of my other friends who realised I was doing this thought, "We'll support him by subscribing at least, and we'll watch a bit of his crap because it's what it is." And some of them have a joke with me saying it sends us to sleep. Some of my early videos aren't great, and if you go back in my video history, you will see some of my early videos are terrible. I will get onto the worst crowd behaviour shortly. I want to explain this though. So when I started my channel, it was literally just to help me recover from my issues, and I then when Mark Sampson got sacked, that was the first video that hit over 100 views. So I was amazed by that, and I was like, "Great, I'm actually doing something." And then I had the Rugby League World Cup came along, and I was really looking forward to this. And I'd gained about 10 subscribers by this point, and it was a little channel. And I thought, you know what, I might. I had the goal was to get monetized by Christmas. In the end, I got monetized before the end of November, and I had videos that were hitting thousands of views, and I was just like amazed. And then I thought, I can't. And so from then on, I thought, right, okay, let's keep growing the channel. It's a hobby. I'm working. I was back in work. I thought, keep this as a hobby, and I'll entertain people. Then, obviously, what happened with Logan Paul, and I got demonetized, and it was a kick in the nuts. I can really assure you, it was an absolute kick in the nuts. And I got really depressed by it. I put all this effort in, and then a few of my friends were seeing me and like, look, don't give up, keep doing it. And one of my other friends who sadly passed away at the weekend was um he said, "No, keep doing it, man. Whatever makes you happy. I mean, I'm not into sports, but keep doing it." And then I did a video on Patrick Larney, and I will get on to how you get monetized. That's part of what I'm discussing here. But good question. And I did a video on Patrick Larney, the Jets player, and because I felt that the North American media was underrating him compared to Austin Matthews. Now, Patrick Larney has only been injured once. Austin Matthews has been injured multiple times. Austin Matthews is not scoring as many goals this season. His game to goal ratio is not as high as Larney. Now, Larney did go off last night with an ankle injury. Hopefully, it isn't serious. But he is a goal scoring machine that hit thousands of views. So at the moment, my goal is literally to get remonetized. So at the moment, I've now gained another subscriber. During this live feed, someone has subscribed to my channel. Don't know how, but someone has subscribed during the live feed. But for me, it's to get remonetized. So to get monetized now, you have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of view time. Now, this is going to go some way to help with that. The worst behaviour I've seen, I was involved in football riots, so I can't really talk about anything really. I might have held some abuse at some police officers. That was probably the worst I've seen. I have seen, I would say racist chanting is what I don't like. I don't mind fans getting passionate, and if fans have a punch up, they have a punch up. It happens with alcohol and live sports, not a good mix. It's when the racist chanting happens that I lose my bejazzle. I go mad. I lose my shit when people racistly chant, homophobically chant. That's when I start getting a bit okay. You're scum. The worst fans I've come across are, well, I'm going to keep that because I know there are sports fans on here. I'm not gonna name the team, but I have come across uh, um, some bad fans. There are certain teams that I think are disgusting fans. Um, the cash you have it depends on the country you're in. The minimum payment you get. Um, it varies on region to region and what type of ad you have. Because I'm now demonetized, the ad rates will change regularly, and the rules concerning video content are changing. So I couldn't tell you that at the moment. When I'm remonetized, I might be able to tell you what ad rates are. Ad rates vary from country to country, and it depends on exchange rate. If you want to get paid in dollars rather than pounds or euros, it all depends on the exchange rate. What I know is when I was monetized before, £60 to get your first paycheck. So that there is that. But good questions. I'm gonna go for another 10. I'm gonna go for another 15 minutes because questions are coming in now, and I really want to go for it. Okay, next question, please. We've been going for an hour and a half now, by the way, guys, and I'm amazed. And it took the first 5 minutes were really quiet. No one was coming in. For about a good couple of minutes, there was no one in. What is the most overrated coach? Oh, Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho or Pep Guardiola. And I say this because they've never had to coach at a lower level. They've always coached the big boys. They've always had a big budget. They've always had star players off the get go. That's why I think they're overrated. Great coaches that they are, trophies they've won is between Mourinho and Guardiola because they've never had to coach a lower league team or a team on a lesser budget. That's my view. If they really want to be classed as the greatest coaches ever, they have to coach at a lower level and be willing to take the pay cut in their salary and coach at a lower level and then prove that they are the best. That's my personal opinion. I is what it is. Yes, I do occasionally watch MMA. Same with boxing. The welfare of the athletes, I'm afraid, is not being looked after enough because referees are not stepping in when they should. The health and well-being. There are too many fighters on steroids, and I have been in a fight with a guy on steroids. I can tell you now. Yes, they tire out quicker, but the power weight ratio behind that punch, yeah, there's a reason why I got a fractured eye socket. They're going to kill someone. And with the amount of boxers that we've had with brain injuries in the last 18 months, actually, I wouldn't say they don't get paid enough. Conor McGregor got paid a fair bit. They don't get paid as much as the big boxers do, like your Floyd Mayweathers. But once you become a star like Ronda Rousey or Conor McGregor, you do get the money. Unfortunately, because of the type of sport it is and parents' views on it, and you have to understand the parents' views on it. It is a blood sport, and blood sport I think is actually, I don't know if it's gaining fashion or losing fashion, but there's a big thing in the media now to do concussions and player welfare and sportsman welfare. I've done a few videos on them, and what I find funny is people don't want to listen to when you have these concussions or body injuries, rushing sportsmen and women back into sport has detrimental impacts on their health. As a Chelsea fan, I respect Mourinho for what he has done, but I think he has passed his best time at Chelsea. As I said, Mourinho, he's never had to coach at a lower level. Same with Guardiola. I think Mourinho is. I don't know what's going on with Mourinho personally. I think Guardiola is too arrogant, and I think Mourinho is something's not right here. He's still living in London, yet he's coaching in Manchester. I do not understand that. Great coach that he is. I think to be classed as the special one, coach at a lower level. Coach if because there are many decent coaches out there who are coaching at lower levels that aren't getting a chance at the top level because these guys get straight railroaded in. If YouTube was to pay me a decent amount of money, yes, I would do. I would do it for a living. At the moment, I'm doing it as a hobby, and I enjoy it as a hobby. But if I did get a decent enough income from it and I could live comfortably, yes. The thing is, when it comes to buying houses and getting loans, you would have to put down independent journalist, and then they might get a little bit, finicky about, you know, loans and stuff. But if it was bring the money in and I could live comfortably, then yes, I would do it. Okay, somebody's just joined the live stream. I answered this question as the first question actually on the live stream an hour and a half ago, but this guy is asking when did I start watching hockey and why the Jets are my favourite team. Right. I started watching hockey in the early 90s. My dad was a British soldier, and every so often they would do these joint NATO exercises in Canada, in Alberta, which is where the Flames and the Oilers are from. Uh, um, and he would obviously spend some time in Manitoba as well, where obviously Winnipeg is, and Saskatchewan, like Regina, all around the massive prairie areas. They do a lot of exercises out there, and he would obviously come back, and he had a passion for sport in general, and the passion stuck with me. I grew up watching the original Jets, not the current Jets. I actually grew up watching these guys as well. And but when the team were announced going back to Winnipeg, they were going to be on the team again. I was really excited because I remember the days of Teemu Solani and Dale Howachuk, and watching those guys play. Okay, admittedly, the Jets didn't have the best playoff history, and if you notice the WHA teams, only the Oilers have stayed in Edmonton. The rest all got defunct, merged, or moved, and the NHL made it their priority to try and basically destroy the WHA, and they have done. But when they went back, the city never wanted them to leave. Gary Betchford is a guy I don't like, but that's why I enjoy watching him. Is as a kid growing up on an army base. Um, okay, Mourinho coaching at Porto is still top level football. The thing is, Mourinho started out as a journalist, so this is a very rarity these days. Most coaches are ex-players, but here's the issue with getting ex-players to coach. You will find most world-class players do not make world-class coaches. The best coaches are those who've actually played or coached in the lower level. Um, because it's to do with the hard graft. I don't know what it is, but if you look at most of the best coaches, they he may have done, but the thing is, most of his teams have been top level. He's had a budget to buy whoever he wants, and the Portuguese lower league is not the same as the British lower leagues, where um, the fan bases expect promotion, 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 and wins, wins, wins. I think the culture though of sacking coaches after a little wobbly run now is wrong. I really do. I think the culture in football, world football, soccer of okay. Um, the I personally with Mourinho, how it all went at Chelsea um was a disaster with the away ended at Chelsea the second time round. How this current Man United setup's going, it's still not all. He's still living in London, but going up for game weekends in Manchester. That cannot be um, sustainable for a manager. He's either got to fully commit to Manchester or he commits to a club in London, or he commits. He has to fully commit. I think there's something not right with the whole. It doesn't work. Mourinho at Manchester United. It's not working. He might have won the Europa League with them, but there's something amiss at that club. It's not a happy club, especially with Luke Shaw. What's come up with Luke Shaw and how he feels sidelined by him. The amount of money. I mean, there's something not happy in Man United dressing room. Um, I would hope to see Blackburn come back to the Premier League. But first things first, we've got to get to the Championship. And with our game against Gillingham snowed off at the weekend, which it shouldn't have been, because most of the Blackburn fans travelled down from Lancashire. And for those who are uh, on this from around the world, because I've had people from there's people from Australia, USA, and Canada who've been watching this live stream. I don't know how from where you guys are from right now, but a lot of Blackburn fans went down for the Gillingham game in the snow at the weekend last weekend, and Gillingham, the pitch was fine; it was playable. But if the Blackburn fans had made it mostly by car, the game should have gone ahead. So we now have a delayed game. Basically, we have a game to play in a very congested season. So we have to get back to the Championship first. Um, but with the Venki still running the club, I'm very worried about the future of my club, regardless if we get promoted, because of how they run the club when we were in the Premier League, when we were in the Championship. Um, and hence why we end up in League One. Um, but any more questions? Because I'm going to end the live stream in about 5-10 minutes. So I'm going to any more questions? Would you got 5-10 minutes to get your questions in? Do I like Chris Sutton? Well, as a pundit, he's annoying. As a manager, he was a failure at Lincoln City. Player, he was good. But his he didn't do very well as I say, world class players or good players don't necessarily make good coaches. He might have won the Premier League and he might have been a brilliant goal scorer and a great centre forward, but they don't necessarily make good coaches. Especially, well, his time at Lincoln City was a disaster. They got relegated out of the Football League, so um, his record speaks for itself. He had a poor. I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily he's a bad manager, but the Lincoln City episode may have put him off management. The thing is, he's a very well educated man, and most people expect their football players to be thick. That's why Graham Massot isn't very popular because he's well educated, and I find that a bit wrong. He's a very Graham Massot and Chris Sutton are very intelligent, and they're both ex teammates. They're both very intelligent. They've got university degrees. They're very intelligent people. But most people want to see their football pundits be like Ian Wright, where they're a bit matey. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And I don't like that. I just want to have intelligent people dissecting the game. But no, Chris Sutton, I don't know what it is. He just doesn't suit live TV. He just doesn't suit TV. But as a player, he was brilliant. He was part of the SS at Blackburn. He was a very good player. He's won the Premier League. He's played for England. So as a player, um, I have no issue with him. But as a football pundit, he's a failed manager. So I don't see him being a successful pundit. Um, where do I place the stand in the Scottish top division? I would say bottom half of the Championship, top of League One. That's the quality level. Personally, the money isn't in Scottish football. Uh, you look outside a certain number of clubs. There's about 6 clubs with money, and the rest have none. Um, the quality level isn't there, and the plan was about 10, 15, 20 years ago was to merge Celtic, Rangers, possibly Aberdeen with the English League. Yeah, no, look at it now; it's a mess. I'm kind of glad that the FA told the Scottish FA to go away. Um, but um, is what it is really. They were plans to try and merge Celtic and Rangers into the English Premier League system. Look at the travel. You've got to think of this, right? The furthest away game in the Football League, I believe, is Plymouth to Carlisle, um, which is near Scotland. So if you're not from the UK, there's a few people on this stream that aren't. Plymouth to Carlisle is a good 1,200-mile round trip with all the side roads and everything like that, and all trains. It's a good 6 to 10 hours, depending on weather. Scotland's even further. That is completely unsustainable in for most fans because at the lower levels there's just not the money there, and that's where they would end up. They would be very quickly relegated out of the leagues, out of the Premier League. It's a league with problems. They've only got 10 teams or 12 teams in their Premier League compared to 20. It doesn't work. But next question. I'll be going until about 10 to 10 is my time, so another 8 minutes. Any more questions? I'm not going to be on here much longer. I do have actually friends to see and things to do, and I've actually got on longer than I planned, so other people could join in the live stream. So I now know this for next time. Next time my live stream will be an hour later start time, because more people have joined later on. But for those who've joined, it's been brilliant. It has been. You've been great. You've asked a lot of good questions. No, he wouldn't even. I no, Rogic, no. Um, he no. Not unless he could seriously up his fitness levels and work hard at his defensive play. No, um, it would have been better. The Russians wouldn't have won. I was actually hoping the Germans would win that gold medal. They got a silver. The NHL has a weird thing where they haven't gone to South Korea, but they are doing these preseason games in China from next year. So I'm seeing that's part of the NHL bargaining agreement with the players to avoid a player strike or a lockout. The players wanted to go. The players will use that as leverage against the NHL at the next collective bargaining agreement. Um, this is my first ever live stream. I did a few little practice test runs just to see if my camera was working earlier, and I worked out it was all working good. So we've done that. Um, but this is my first actually proper live stream. I didn't know how many of you. I literally messaged some of my hardcore subscribers, and then I've messaged people on Twitter, some of my hardcore followers. I did message a guy called the Hockey Guy. He's one of the channels I subscribe to because it's his kid's end of hockey season. He was doing that, otherwise he would have joined in. And he's a really intelligent guy. So if you like your ice hockey, I suggest you follow the Hockey Guy on YouTube. He's brilliant. I do not have Instagram. I have Twitter, which is exactly the same. It's the Sports Buff in '89. I don't have Instagram. I want to keep my social media profile to this and my Twitter at the moment. My favourite football pundit is Gary Lineker because I've met him. I know his sons. I played rugby against his kids, Gary Lineker's kids. So I met him. I think he's good as a pundit. Let me go through these questions quickly. Bear with me. Well, yeah. Right, we're on the my Jamie Carragher incident. Okay, basically, Sky Sports is tacky broadcasting. I have done a video on it. Um, I can understand, like, I'm disappointed with Jamie Carragher. I've met him in person, and this is when I was a kid, and he was starting out at Liverpool in the mid to late '90s. I went to a game, and I got a family friend got us tickets. I met him when I was a kid, and I got his autograph, and he was very polite with a very thick Scouse accent, which I couldn't understand. But the the Sky Sports. This is not the first presenter to have issues like this. Ron Atkinson got done for racism. A couple of there's been one done for sexism, one done for homophobia, bullying. There's multiples in there. Sky Sports has an issue. The fact they've suspended, not fired him, they're not following their precedent. But I don't like Sky Sports. I refuse to pay for the subscription. If I can, I stream. Um, if my mates have got Sky Sports or BT Sport and there's sport on, I will happily watch. But I won't personally pay £7.99 a day. That's what it's daily. £7.99 a day. That's before Sky Box Office. So if I go around my parents' house, my mum's house, and see my little brother, I might occasionally watch a top 14 rugby game or a Super Rugby match if you know it's there. Maybe a bit of a test match, but I'm not a big fan of Sky Sports at the moment. Still with Rupert Murdoch, I'm not a fan of any of his publications. Do I like Eddie Jones? Well, here's the thing. I've done a series of videos on the Six Nations. The issues with England predate Eddie Jones, but the issues with Eddie Jones is he needs an attack coach and he needs to clear out some of the clutter from the previous coaches. So the Stuart Lancaster regime and the Martin Johnson eras. There are a lot of players hanging around from the last two World Cups. He needs to really find some new leadership because he's been too loyal to players who have failed basically in the last 8-10 years, and that includes discipline on and off the field. And his banter is just it's pointless. His banter has not helped the team. The teams he slagged off beat England. So personally, it's backfired, made him look like a fool. I think he looks stupid. Um, if you're going to slag off a team, make sure you beat them. Simple. If you're going to slag off a team and call them scummy Irish and whatever, considering my dad's family are from Ireland originally, make sure you go out there and you beat him by 20 points. So his banter backfired. We've got a good, I would say, good 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes left, and then we're going to call it a night because there's still some more questions coming. So keep them coming for another 5-10 minutes. You know what? I'll end at 10 p.m. UK time, so that gives you 13 minutes because there's still a lot of people viewing and there's still a lot of people asking questions. The questions are now coming thick and fast. I like this. I'm learning to live stream. This is all good, and this is helping my view count as well. Next question, please. Not next year, no. They have far too much to fix. Um, I think it is good that the mistakes have happened now. From all the, I mean, Ireland are streets ahead of everyone else, but for the other five teams in the Six Nations, it's good that all these issues have happened now and new players are coming through now for next year. But I don't think England can win it. No, not at all. They're not close. Their previous form for the previous 3 years leading into this is a misnomer because they're just not close. Other teams are improving quicker than they are. He's signed till 2021, so the RFU, the compensation, I don't think he should go necessarily, but he does need to update the squad and get some fresh faces in there. Um, what sport do you find to be just playing weird? Curling. House what? No, I don't understand how that's popular. I know it's popular in Canada and Scotland, but curling, I just don't see anyone can watch that. Um, other weird sports. I don't really know any. Curling's the weirdest sport I've come across, but there are a couple of sports out there that I find a bit strange. But um, people might find some of the sports I like strange. It's some sports are cultural, others aren't. Um, no, I don't mind croquet. Croquet is a society thing. It's more of a class thing actually. Croquet. It's more played by the wealthier stratas of society, if you want to call it that. And it is a sport that is still played. Um, but it's not played as much in the working class communities. It's an upper class game, but it is still played. It's still played, um, um, but you'll be surprised people still play it. I used to play it at school. Yes, I did. We used to have a croquet pitch thing, and we used to have croquet stuff, and we used to play. It is actually kind of fun playing croquet, surprisingly. It's a bit like snooker on grass. Is the best way to describe it. But I honestly think curling's the weirdest sport. Robert Fulford, yeah, I know who he is. I'm aware of Robert Fulford. I think he might have visited my school, but I used to play. croquet back in the day at boarding school. It was actually kind of fun. It was a good little fun little pastime. You set up the little course and you play it. It was actually mildly entertaining, and we did actually have croquet days where, for fun, we would try and play and raise money for charity. Next question. Some of you guys have been here for 2 hours, and I really appreciate you hanging around this long. Um, I mean, I didn't expect you guys to. But any more questions? Otherwise, if there's not another question soon, I will decide to end the live stream because, depending where you are in the world, it's either early or late, and I don't want to, drag on too long. The World Cup. I would say France or Germany out of the European teams. Do not be surprised if an African team. Egypt have a very good chance to get out of their group actually with Salah playing how he is. Swimming, I don't mind watching swimming actually, because especially the sprints like the 50-meter freestyle things like that are very over very quickly. And Mark Foster, the British ex swimmer who's now a TV presenter, he makes it interesting. And Rebecca Addington, I don't give a toss. She's got a wonky nose. I think I do enjoy it. I think it should get more coverage. It's a very very good sport, and the Aussies are very good at it. The Americans are very good at it, but surprisingly, so is Britain. So yeah, I do like to. Um, to be honest, there's talks of a boycott from England, which I think is wrong. I honestly think we should go and beat the Russians at their own game. England, no, I don't know. It depends on how reliant Southgate is on Harry Kane. If he can't see past Harry Kane, because Harry Kane at the last Euros 2 years ago was a disaster. So we have to be very, very careful what expectations we have of this team. There's a lot of young players that we could play, but Southgate's too defensively minded. He needs a plan B. Mo Farah, well, his ex-coach Salazar has been linked to doping scandal. I'm not sold on Farah. Great runner, but if he's been found to have cheated, I will be disgusted because he's then let his sport down, a sport that needs some positive news. Right, Yellow Skull is what kind of Rangers are we talking? Are we talking Rangers as in Scottish football or Rangers as in ice hockey? Because if it's Rangers ice hockey, I have a friend who's a New York Rangers fan. Power Oh, brilliant. Okay, 8 more minutes left. Any more questions? Scottish football. The issue with Rangers, and I have covered this, is the money side of things with Rangers. Had Celtic, Rangers, and possibly Aberdeen joined the English Football League system, that would have had catastrophic effects, not just for Rangers as it did have anyway, but for British football. I feel very sorry for Rangers fans what they've had to go through with the issues with the finances, and I do hope Mike Ashley does not buy your club out. Um, I want Mike Ashley out of football. I've made that very clear on my channel that I'm not a fan of Mike Ashley. So when he's giving Rangers loans, I am deeply concerned about the future of Rangers. Very, very concerned. Um, it is good that they're back in the Scottish Premier League and they are competitive in that league, but that league is not competitive as it used to be in the 80s. Scottish football in the 80s was brilliant. Now, not so good. And that's a problem. And that's an issue with Scottish football that they've got to look and work out. Do they combine the Premier League and the Championship and then League One and League Two and to make it a two-league system rather than four? That could be the way forward. But I am deeply concerned about Scottish football. Next question. Any more questions? Because I mean, this live feed's been going for nearly 2 hours now. I don't want to, drag on and on. Cycling, I've gone off it with all the doping scandals. A few of my ex-work colleagues are big cycling fans, and I watched a bit of the Tour de France this last summer. But with what's going on with Team Sky, I don't believe Chris Froome is clean. So many there's a couple of channels that do focus on cycling as a sport that I subscribe to, and they're querying his cleanliness as in if he's doping or not. There's no way someone with chronic asthma can cycle at altitude that well. He would die. So he's a cheat. In my eyes, it's looking more and more likely he's a cheat. I don't watch cycling anymore. I used to as a kid. Now I don't really watch it anymore. Rugby team. Well, in rugby league, it's the Canberra Raiders, and in rugby union, it's the ex Chiefs. Um, at the moment, they're my two favourite teams in those codes. So rugby league, it's the Canberra Raiders in the NRL, and in rugby union, it's the Exeter Chiefs. Um, that's a very good question. I'm surprised no one asked that earlier. It's a very good question. One of these latecomers has come in there. Next question, anyone? Newcastle Falcons. I do believe that England needs to start looking at Toby Flood as as a fly off for England as a backup. Even though he's not been involved in the national setup for a while, he's doing really well at Newcastle. They need to possibly look at Toby Flood for next year's World Cup. Um, what team do I love to hate in sport? Burnley FC in the Premier League because I'm a Blackburn fan. Hate them. Um, rugby union, a team I don't like. I would probably. That's a difficult one. Rugby union's a difficult one, but I would probably. Uh, I don't mind Preston actually. Preston are all right. I don't mind Preston too much because we haven't had to play them regularly over the last 20, 30 years. It's not like a regular fixture we've had. Um, I'm not. I don't mind Melbourne Storm, but there is an issue with the Melbourne Storm in rugby league because it comes down with their salary cap breaches and how they managed to keep Cronk, Slater, and Smith together for so long. With the fact that Cameron Smith even admitted to having a second salary, that's what sort of ruined it for the Melbourne Storm for me. But I wouldn't say I hate the Melbourne Storm. I'm not sold on some of their behind the scenes dealings. The other sports that I hate teams. I like the passionate rivalries, but Blackburn Preston is not as big as Blackburn Burnley. Blackburn Preston, we have it is a rivalry, but we haven't crossed paths as much in recent years. We have crossed in the Championship and a couple of times, but the rivalry isn't as big as Blackburn Burnley. It's far more brutal. Blackburn Liverpool, Blackburn Man United, growing up were and Blackburn Everton were really violent. I remember watching on the TV and then seeing crap in the crowd. Teams I don't like. I would have to say Boston Bruins is a nice hockey team I don't like. Their fans are just cave trolls. And it's a difficult one. It is difficult. I don't really have a particular team that I dislike. But thank you for the good luck message to Blackburn. We're going to need it, even though we are top of the league. We had a game called off. Um, but I wouldn't say Preston Blackburn is the most hated rivalry. It's a heated rivalry, and the players give it a good go. Um, to be fair, I have to admit, no, in all seriousness, I do rewatch some 2016 season because there's a channel I subscribe to that have most of the games up, and the fans can be a bit feral. I have seen in State of Origin rugby league before, and I have seen in Aussie rules fans quite happily lob beer cans at players and then start fighting each other. Um, but I would say the most heated rivalry I've seen uh, West Brom, Stoke, West Ham. They're the teams I think get relegated, but I just have a feeling. I think Southampton have got a boost with that FA Cup win at the weekend, and with a new manager, I just think it's those three. I don't rate Paul Lambert as a manager. I think Pardew's the wrong man, wrong job, wrong club. It's not a good mix. And West Ham is David Moyes. He was useless at Sunderland. David Moyes was useless at Man United, useless at Sociedad. Um, that is not necessarily the case, but there are some exceptions. I'm One thing I'm very interested in. There's only one player that I know of who's played Aussie rules, rugby league, and rugby union, and that is Israel Folau. So I'm going to do a video on Israel Folau at some point in the next couple of days. I've just got to do some research. Right, last question. If anyone's got one last question, get it in. Last questions, people, because I'm going to end the live stream here in a minute. Any more questions? Any more questions, people? Because no, I'm not. I haven't got a passport. I'm not going to the World Cup. I'm not going to Russia. Are you mad? I'll pass on that. I'd like to keep my body intact. Any more questions? Any more? Right, I'm gonna call that a day. We've been going for 2 hours now. Thank you everyone who participated in the live stream tonight. Thank you for all your questions. Uh, and I'm gonna have to have a look and see how popular the stream was. I think at peak we had about 6 people, which for my first stream isn't bad. But as the channel grows, we'll have more people viewing. I think I'm most likely gonna do my live streams on a weekend next time, and uh, you know and I will hopefully be able to answer more questions that you have. I'm surprised more questions when asking about other sports. I mean, there were certain sports that were heavily focused on, and others did some random questions. But it's really interesting to see what sports you like and what content you like. I actually say go an extra hour for one particular subscriber to come in. That's something I know where loads of subscribers charged in at the end. Whilst this live stream has been going, I've gained another subscriber. So I don't know if it was someone who was actually on the live stream involved or just watching my content. So we've actually the channel's grown whilst we've been doing this. But thank you very much. Have to be subscribed. Thank you very much, and good night.